Alright guys, good to be back. So I'm going to do a little video just going through the process of what I'm going to do with weather on this T-34. I think it's about time I stopped doing some unboxings and actually showed that I can actually, paint and weather a model when it suits me. So basically the stage I'm at just now, this is a Zvezda 1/72 T-34-85, really cheap little kit. Goes together really well. I mean, there's lacking in details here and there, so I'll talk through what I've did to sort of add little upgrades. It's very, very minor. I used a metal gun barrel because I had one spare, because I bought the S53 gun barrel and the D5T gun barrel for the T-34-85s. Now this is oh god, I'm going to get my facts wrong here, and D5T, I want to say. Yeah, the S53 was the early one. It's got like a sort of bolted on turret at the front, so the barrel that I had before, I'd actually, it was the S53, and it was a different shape, so I actually sanded it to fit here because it's just the metal tube looks a lot better than the kit one. But yeah, that was a long way to say that. But yeah, I put a metal gun barrel on it, so that was pretty standard. There was no handles included in the kit. Sometimes they do plastic ones which aren't the best anyway, so I put lead wires on for the handles. So yeah, they can get banged up a little bit. So, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, obviously this is a captured T-34-85, which seemed to cause a lot of controversy on Instagram anyway. People saying that, oh, they didn't have this version, they'd always do the split hatches and all that kind of stuff, and they would make field modifications, and yeah, well, this might be true, but the thing is, I like to think that if you were there on the front line and you saw every single T-34-85 that got passed into German service, and you could say definitively that they all had this or they all had that, I don't think that anyone could say that there might have been a T-34-85 that someone captured and painted it bright pink and put it on the front line, and there wasn't a guy with a camera there to take that picture. So how do they know specifically every single version? Of course there's documents of like T-34s in captivity by the Germans, but like I say, and a lot of them have got their proper divisional markings and all that stuff on. This one isn't. This is my tank, this is my model, so I'm making it an improvised attack job. I mean, it's at this time in 1944, you've got the Germans and the Russians. A lot of people said, oh, the Russians were always pushing them. There was never any ground gained, but that isn't true. You'll find there was places where the Germans pushed back a little bit here or there. It might have just been for the day. They would take ground. They would have captured equipment. And they would press them into service. And maybe the crew, even maybe killed in an airstrike. Who knows what happened to the crew? That's what I'm saying. So this tank's in pretty much pristine order for the fact it's been captured by the Germans. So I'd actually base coated it in 4BO underneath, so the wheels and everything that's got like a yellow stripe through it. But I just figured, well, they painted it, but they didn't do a complete job because they wanted to get it rushed back out. The green stripe is actually German olive grun, so that's not your 4BO. Because I attempted to chip it. I started to chip it through the 4BO, which is it's almost lost completely. You can see it on the turret slightly, but it's pretty much lost to this scale. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chip it up with, I like this colour for chipping 4BO, so this is Panzer Ace's Russian Tank Crew Highlight, and this is my custom 4BO colour, which is a mixture of, I'm trying to think what the actual colours are now. Well, it's Vallejo Russian green with a little bit of yellow, some satin varnish, and there was something peculiar in there. I'm trying to remember what it was. If I remember, I'll put it in the description down below. And I'll be using the German camel black brown for the darker chips and some dark rust, likely. So another couple of rust colours here just for if I start to do some work on the exhausts and stuff, because I won't be keeping the track links. These are all looking factory fresh and gunmetal grey. But I just painted the details last night just to get this stage. So backtracking a little bit, so where was I? So, camouflage done, decals done, satin varnish on. I gave it a brown oil wash, just a sort of light wash to get into all the details, and I gave a darker brown Tamiya panel wash. I used this is brown one, I used a dark brown one. Just into the engine vents and louvers, because that kind of does to stand out a little bit more, because it's when they're not recessed in and photo etched and they're just sort of sticking there as part of the kit, you want to try and make that look a bit more noticeable. So yeah, that's where we're at. So I'm going to be doing some chipping, and then we'll see where it goes from there. So the process, the reason why I do the chipping now is because it gives you a good platform to go on and do the oils, because if you say you do a chip in a certain position, you know, a scratch here, you might have rust streaks coming down. So I like to see what I'm working with and take the oils on from there. So yeah, I'll be doing it that way. So I'll do a little bit of brush chipping, and I'll do a little bit of sponge chipping, and I'm just going to sit here and do it in real time, not because I'm rubbish at editing. Okay, it is because I'm rubbish at editing, but also because it's good sometimes just to see the process. I mean, I'm sure if you've already clicked on this video and you've stayed to this long, then you're obviously got a bit of time in your hands and you're interested in seeing it. Otherwise, you'd have clicked off long ago after listening to me ramble on. So I'll just get to it, and yeah, we'll see how we get on. So excuse my rambling. So anyway, I'm going to start with light colour first. Just sort of try and show off some of where these chips are going to be. So yeah, just going to grab some water. Just a little ball that I keep buying. Can always have a Jaeger if I get really depressed. Right, so we'll start with a fine brush first. Just put a little bit of water in there, just make it nice and fine. That's a good idea, a little bit of paper. Right, let's see what we're kind of working with here. Don't want too much on the brush. So yes, you want to focus on areas where the crew are going to be moving and stuff, and just all that kind of stuff, just where it's going to be used. So I'm just going to, the guys like sliding on and off the turret here, getting in and out of the vehicle. Definitely they'll be on the grab handles. So this is a little subtle coat, but it just helps me to figure out where I'm going to put the darker chips and sort of work from there. Excuse the phone going off. I can't control that. Now, like I said, we're going to do a few chips with the brush, and I'm going to go on to doing some sponge chipping. And a little bit that can, sometimes you can go a little bit too far with that, but the way I see it, if this is a capture tank, it's been in and out. I like to, I mean, I've done quite a few T-34s, I like to have them all, you know, look like they've seen a bit, look like they've seen shit. That's how we roll. Because they likely will have done. But yeah, I really like doing stuff in 1/72 scale, because you can get through the process. Just it seems so much more clear in front of you. You're not spending ages, you know, doing paint and detail work and stuff. It's like pretty much get the thing sprayed, get the decals on, and just get on to weathering it, so you can turn them around pretty quickly. You can add lots of little nice. Well, that's a good point. I didn't finish off what I was saying about adding little details. So I also drilled out the gun barrel ever so slightly, because it was just a solid one piece. And I also drilled in this headlamp, because it was just a solid piece of plastic. So I drilled that in, so it's going to be a broken headlamp, basically. I'm going to paint that a lighter silver colour, and I might use a little bit of white glue, and it'll sort of look sort of cracked along it, or I'll use this glass coat gauze agent, which is really good for that sort of thing, so I might use that. You can also use gloss varnish if it's going to stand up enough, but you might need to use white glue, micro MSK, is it? Microcrystal clear. That's also good for making lenses and stuff. Oops. Chip that's on the toolbox and stuff. And I'm going to start to use the darker green in a second. I'm going to get just a few more on the engine deck, and I'll maybe get the sponge into the engine deck. Because obviously there'll be a lot of chips there for maintenance, guys walking around at stowage, sitting on top of it, getting dragged along and the like, so. Do that. Yeah, we'll go into my 4BO colour. What else am I going to do in this video? So I tend to paint the things that are going to be rusty, so the exhausts and the tracks, spare tracks, in a sort of rust colour, maybe mixed in with a matte varnish, and then I'll just sort of dab pigments on randomly, and that'll keep them matte and nice. And I don't tend to work from anything other than a satin varnish. Like I won't varnish this again. I'll pretty much keep it as a satin coat after I did the washes. I haven't coated it again with varnishes. I've just kept it from the satin because it. I was watching a video one time that Mig Jimenez was doing. I think it was maybe when he was in Sweden. It's on YouTube anyway, so I advise you watch it if you haven't already. And he's talking about varnishes and stuff, and a lot of guys when I first started, I was always told that you should put a matte coat on your model, or when it's done you need to get a flat coat on it and get everything down. But the problem with that is if you've got things like tyres, things with metal sheen, you've got dirt, dust, wet effects. If you hit that thing with a matte varnish right at the end, now it's supposed to keep it so you don't, when you're touching it all and stuff doesn't come off. But the problem with that is you're making all those surfaces the same. So as opposed to having tyres and a satin finish, and you're going to have like shiny points where you're making bare metal, those are going to be glossy. Same with your headlamps and stuff like that. And like I say, depending on what you're doing with it, if you're putting a lot of pigments on it, if you're making it sort of weathered up with like a wet effect and stuff like that, if you hit that all with a matte varnish, you're ruining all of that. I learned that mistake the hard way a few times doing 1/35 stuff and thinking this looks a little bit flat, and that was the reason why. I mean, it's not a massive issue having a little tiny sheen going through your kit. It doesn't look. I mean, don't get me wrong. If I finished off and I thought, oh my god, that looks ridiculously shiny or something, I need to do something about that, then I would address that. But I've never had that issue. I think by the time you do all the weathering stage and you start hitting it up with oils and add the pigments on, because the pigments are always very matte, the dry pigments, so it doesn't. It definitely doesn't detract from the kit. So yeah, that was a useful piece of information, which I certainly do believe in as well. So I think it's because that was the thing. I don't know what it was when I first time on. It was only 3 years ago or so, and it just seemed like every single time you would read a publication or see something on YouTube, the guys would be like, "Yeah, we're gonna hit this with a matte varnish when it's done, and that's everything done." And so you believe what you hear online. That's the thing, and what you read. And sometimes you're not following the right advice. So, and that's what I was going to say. I mean, like things I'm doing here, none of this is new. It's all stuff I've picked up from YouTube or reading publications and stuff like that. And none of this is groundbreaking. It's all there, but you choose your own process. You pick what you like and you go from there. And sometimes you chop and change for a different project or whatever. But it'll all come together if you just find out what you like to do. You'll eventually find your own methods of doing it. Because at the start I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I was just like reading publications and trying to pick up as much information as I can. And that's another thing. You buy products. You get sold into the marketing, and you buy products, and a lot of time you're like, why did I buy that? This isn't nothing different from what I've got before, and that's that's definitely a trap I've been guilty of falling in. But you've got to find your way. So at least now I seem to know what I like and what I don't like, and what's good and what's bad. So yeah, it's God knows how much it's cost me to get to that stage, but in my eyes it's worth it, because at least that way, if anybody asks me, I can at least give my 2 cents as to what I think is what's good, what's bad. That's it. If you give an honest opinion, then people are still going to do what they want to do, though, right? But right, I'm going to get the sponge out now, so I'm kind of just sort of blabbing on here. So yeah, where did I get this out of? Oh yeah, I got this out of a nice big filter set that my wife got me, and they've got these 2 little sponges to keep everything together, and they're ideal for doing chipping effects. So yeah, I'm going to go with the light green first. Just a little tiny bit on the brush, not much at all. I'm going to take most of it off. I'm just going to test it on the underside here, because sometimes it can look like you've not got much left on it when you're doing it on the cotton wool, but then you do it on your kit and you end up going crazy. So I'm just going to make sure it's still acceptable amount. Right, so I'm going to put a little bit on the wheels here and there. I'm going to go back and touch up the tyres, because those will get nicked with green stuff, but that's not really the end of the world. And I'm going to do the engine deck. That's a little bit much, but that'll wipe off at this point. That's fine. So that's all I'm going to do with the light green there. I'm going to go and use I'm going to skip on the 4BO, because I didn't think that was really achieving much. I'm just going to go straight to the dark chipper colour. Just going to dab that on in places. Show some nice small chips there. So yeah, made a little too much on that turret there, but that's okay. I'll just get a cotton swab, a little bit of water, and that should just wash away. No problem. Yep. So if you make a mistake, don't worry too much. There's always a way to fix it. Be it just weather it a bit more. No, it's not so bad. But yeah, like I say, these little Zvezda kits are really good value for money, especially if you wanted to add just a little bit extra to them. It's a good platform to do that. The tracks were fairly decent as well, compared to like say Revell, who did Lincoln length tracks that weren't even long enough to go around the actual tank. So the way that they do them is like a one piece. It's not a vinyl. It's like a soft styrene. And it goes around the whole run, and it clips into like little cogs on the wheels, and then the wheels hide the cogs. So yeah, it's pretty sweet. I'm not going to do too much more on this, you know that. As far as chipping goes, I'm going to go on to doing a little bit with weathering up the rusty surfaces, and I'll show you guys how I do that. And then I'll probably call it a day with this video, and then on the next one we will do some of the oils, I think. So we'll give it a wee bit of time to dry, and then we'll get onto the oils. So yeah, it's just, I'll mix this up, this rust colour, because it's getting a bit monotone. I'll use the dark rust. It's just a slight red tone to it. I'll start with the brush, because I've got quite a lot of chips on there already. I really apologise about the camera angle as well, guys. I'm working on that. At one point I will get a better setup and learn to do some decent video editing. But yeah, it's all time, isn't it? So just bear with me. Right, I'm going to go with that just now. I'm going to stick this. I'm going to do this sort of pigment thing. Right, so exhaust, right. I'm going to go with this dark rust colour. I'm just going to paint them straight up like that. And you know what? I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to do the same thing with the track links, but I'm going to paint the middle one that colour rust. I'll pick these out. It doesn't need to be exact, just a little bit. Just as long as you're kind of wetting the surface a little bit, and then I'll mix in the other colours just shortly. So if you can see that, I'm just kind of going randomly onto the track links at the front there. And I'll get these other rust colours mixed up because they will get pretty much covered by pigment anyway, so it's just to kind of give a bit of a difference in tone. It doesn't just look like all the same colour of rust on the front of that, so I'll use a lot wider brush here. And just sort of mix them also. It's sort of like a wet technique. They just sort of blend in together. They're not really, the minute's not really going to achieve much, like I say. So just for the pigment phase. If you get any over paint, don't worry about that. We'll deal with that later. Go with that. Right, I'll open up these. I've got 3 colours of pigments. I've got Trax Rust, Burnt Umber, and just regular old rust. I shouldn't say old rust because that's probably people are thinking that's a different colour. Just rust. I'll just open all them up. Give me a second. I'm just going to go straight out the bottle with this. I'm going to use the track rust first. I'm going to just sort of blot that in there. I'm going to use this one, the Burnt Umber. Again, it's just random as you like. And a tiny bit of the rust on just on the edges of these, because most of this will get covered by. I'll probably use a smoke pigment as well. So it's just a kind of when that dries out, it'll blend in really nice, and we'll have a good variation of tones in there. And like I say, there's loads of ways to do this. It's just one of these things that you can do kind of quickly to get to a sort of acceptable standard for how you want to do your spare track links and stuff. So I'm going to stick that on there like that. Just keep randomly doing different pigments. And then what you can do is you can sort of go back into your acrylics, just sort of blot that in again and just blend it randomly. Get more pigment in there, because once this dries it'll be a completely different tone. It gives you a bit of texture as well, which is kind of important with rust. So I'm going to do that again on the front, random as you like. Okay. Now I'm going to go and probably get a hairdryer on that, let that dry, and I'll be back in a couple of seconds. And here we are. This is it dried up, so yep, a little bit of tonal variation on the tracks here, and same with the side and the exhaust. So I'm not going to go any further with that just now. I'm just going to let it dry for a little while, and I'm going to go into the oils for my next video and do some streaking and stuff, and just go down that road. So thanks for watching, guys. I know it was a bit of a ramble on at times, but hopefully you've picked up how easy it is just to kind of start getting these things looking kind of beat up and weathered. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. Cheers.